Okay guys, well, I have decided that what I was going to do was I was going to go review the films, and I'll start off with, I'll do one video for each part. So for instance, the first video is called Zeigeist the Movie, and the first part is actually called The Greatest Story Ever Told. And I just want to let you guys know that these videos, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because I recommend you watch the videos, and I'm just going to point out just some points out of the video that I find that are incredibly important, and these are, I'm kind of dumbing it down, so to speak, because when you listen to it, it's very, very articulate and very, it's a lot of information. But there are certain points in there, that I can explain them to you, but I'm not going to go into very much detail. So it starts off with George Carlin. You guys might know him, the late George Carlin. He is doing a comedy sketch, and it's just the voice, in the background. And basically, what it's about is it's about religion. The first part's called The Greatest Story Ever Told, so it's about religion. And he points out a few things. He points out, how there are how religions, they always ask for money. They pay no taxes, and they always want more, and they have lots and lots of money. And now I'm Catholic. I was raised Catholic, and and I know the story of Jesus and stuff and whatnot, but I've sort of stepped away from all of that, and thinking about reality and realism and the way I feel about it. And the fact is that once you're born, there's no religion. I mean, you're not necessarily Catholic unless you're baptized. So there's a period before you're actually, you're nothing, right? So since you're born as nothing, which means like no religion, then technically, it doesn't really do anything for you. You're just, if you were born and you were put in a room for 10 years, there would be no influences of religion whatsoever. It would just be, you would just be that, and no one can argue with that. There could be survival or whatever, but I'm just thinking very basically. So there's no, for me, when it comes to down to a human being, it's very important to realize that that they're not mocking religion. We're trying they're trying to show you that it's very political and very complicated. And even in religion, they say things that are very, they're very like positive, all right, but at the same time they're very negative. The one thing it really points out in this section is that they say, in religion itself, it says, "Thou shalt be done on earth as it is in heaven," right? Well, there's no money in heaven. There's no debt in heaven. There's no politics in heaven. There's no war in heaven. So even if you want to believe and be a very religious person, this is exactly what the Zeitgeist Movement is trying to do. Is exactly, exactly that. They're trying to create heaven on earth, just like the Bible says it should be. Now the thing about religion is, I always think of these three words because it's very, very important. And the first thing is money. The second word is power, and the third word is influence. And I was thinking about, as an example, the Vatican. Okay, the Vatican is a bank. All right, I haven't known this all my entire life. This is just things that I've recently, not recently, but I mean, last few years have come up, and I didn't really realize. And when you start to put those pieces together, so money, power, and influence. So the way I look at it is money is power, and power is influence. So when they're talking about this first section calling The Greatest Story Ever Told, they're actually talking about influence, the influential story, right? Which moves on to my next point, which are laws and in the societies. So when you have the Bible, you have the 10 Commandments, and those commandments are laws. They're the rules of God, and if you disobey those rules, He'll punish you forever. But now, stepping away from religion, you're thinking if there are laws now. and the way they, if we are not, if we don't abide by the law, we get punished. So it's like we get thrown into hell, like prison is hell, right? So it's like a different thing. So it was very political. It's very social. For this in society to condition you into thinking that these things are wrong. I mean, you shouldn't kill people. I mean, I believe you shouldn't kill people. But a lot of the other laws, they wouldn't happen. I mean, you wouldn't be able to commit a crime if the society was in a different mindset. I mean, if the money didn't exist, there would be you couldn't sell something, which means therefore you wouldn't want to take more than one inside of a store because you wouldn't be able to steal it, or you wouldn't be able to sell it, and business doesn't exist. And if you just have access to things, access to resources and things like that, then that's basically that's what would happen. There would be much less negative attitude. In Jacques Fresco, as I'll mention in the future, he mentions and Peter Joseph, they mention aberrant behavior. That's what creates this aberrant behavior. It's the societies and the laws that restrict us, and they restrict us from the resources of life. Money isn't important. We just need things. We need things in order to survive, and that's the basic thing. So that's my overall review for the first part, which is called The Greatest Story Ever Told. And and it goes into much detail. It goes into how they explain how scientific the religion aspect is by the stars and everything, and and how everything is reworded in the Bible, and the Bible is open to interpretation, things like that. So it's very it's open to interpretation. That's really what it comes down to. When it comes to the Bible and it comes to different religions, the Quran and whatnot, basically they want money, and with money it creates power, and power creates influence, and they influence you in order to move on, to make the religion move on. And when people don't agree, they decide to change a few things, and they create another religion. And that's why you have, and there's another point of view. That's why they have different types of religions that are very, very similar. And the Messiah, or the main person of the Bible, or of the readings, is very much like they're very much the same. And also in this section they also talk about going into as far as Egyptian times. Basically copying, the gods have been copying ever for over 4,000 years, I think it was, and copying Horus, and they just kind of copy, and it gets derived, and as time goes by, more and more religions approach.